Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today's video is going to be a fun one. The year is now 2026, and this is the year of the horse, or more specifically, the year of the fire horse. So it only seems right that today we try out Kanto Rapidash in the Open Grade League. Now it goes without saying, this is not a Pokemon you should use if you care about your ELO whatsoever, but I saw a Japanese streamer Ta running Rapidash for fun and ended up having some pretty positive results with it. So I tried the team myself and against all odds managed to pull off a crazy 10-5 run on stream. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1, we're off to a bit of an interesting start, leading Kanto Rapidash into Clodsire. Now the moveset I'm running on Rapidash is a bit of an unusual one. Drill Run and Wild Charge, so it is the same electric ground coverage as Stunfisk, but obviously it's a fire type. In this matchup, Drill Run is actually going to be very helpful, as Drill Run will allow me to hit for big super effective damage into Clodsire. Because my opponent is on Stone Edge, not on Sludge Bomb, I can actually outpace, make it to Drill Run number 2, opponent no shields, and that's some quality damage onto the Clodsire. I'm going to be double shielding and looking to fully farm down with the Rapidash. Rapidash going to be answered with a Furret safe switch, and Furret's going to take some pretty massive damage from Wild Charge. Wild Charge lands big damage onto Furret, and in comes Torterra. Unfortunately, my opponent is going to be able to inflict some pretty significant damage here with Double Swift, but they make a slight misplay. They go for a Trailblaze, and the Trailblaze allows me to fully Mud Slap down before they make Charge Attack number 2. This means my Torterra is absolutely loaded on energy. In the back, my opponent has Meowscarada. Ideally, I should have thrown one Mud Slap and the Frenzy Plant there, but either way, I should still be able to output some pretty significant resistant damage. Meowscarada really not going to appreciate the Frenzy. That's going to land. I switch into the Rapidash. My opponent throws one Leafage and the Night Slash, so the Incinerate does not register. Night Slash is going to land, no attack boost, and from here, this is a pretty straightforward win, as Credilli will get the full farm down of Meowscarada. Meowscarada lands the Frenzy Plant, in comes Clodsire. It's a race to the charge attack that Clodsire will not win. Credilli gets the Grass Knot, takes the KO. All that's left is one Acid to farm down Meowscarada, and that's a good game. We get the Dream Lead in the next match, Rapidash into Shadow Scizor. My opponent safe switches into Guzzlord, and I immediately send in Credilli. Not only is Credilli my best answer to Guzzlord, but anytime against the Scizor lead, if I can throw away a Credilli, that works out really nicely for me, because now I don't even need switch advantage. Because even if my opponent wins switch, Torterra into Scizor is fine as long as shields are up, because Mud Slaps will inflict some pretty significant damage. Credilli gonna be hit with another Brutal Swing, but after the Rock Tomb debuff, suddenly that's a lot less threatening. This Brutal Swing won't even take the knockout. I think I can actually live the Dragon Tail as well, and this means my opponent is gonna get basically no farm on the Shadow Scizor. That's really nice for me. My opponent's shields, they're playing for switch advantage, and this is good for me. Now I can go for a big farm on Torterra. My opponent pivots into Lapras, and they know at this point they're in trouble. If they let Torterra farm down the Guzzlord, they would have just lost to the Rapidash, because Rapidash would have just Wild Charged the Lapras. They're forced to get aggressive and pivoted in, but unfortunately, there's just no way out at this point in the game. Lapras baits with the Sparkling Aria, but Torterra is just too far ahead. We get the Frenzy Plant. This is massive super effective damage, and down goes Lapras. In comes Scizor, answered with the Rapidash. Look at the damage. In comes Guzzlord, but it's not winning Charge Attack priority over Rapidash. Drill Run takes the knockout. Back in comes Scizor. I do probably live the Night Slash, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Rapidash is very glassy. Incinerate takes the knockout, and that's a good game. Rapidash into Florges in the next match. This is a bit of a tricky matchup. I'm going to throw one Incinerate, safe switch into Credilli, and my opponent responds with Primeape. Primeape, a lot of the time, like to try and call a Rock Tomb bait, so I'm going to be full sending the Grass Knot, just to have the Grass Knot be shielded. My opponent read me like a book, and now I'm honestly in a pretty tough spot. They're going to boost up with the Rage Fist, these Karate Chops suddenly looking very threatening, but in my eyes, my opponent makes a bit of a misplay here going for the CMP tie. The CMP tie means that I can actually shield, fire off this Grass Knot, and pressure the final shield from my opponent. I'm going to try and get aggressive. I pivot into the Rapidash, and they're going to be sending back out the Florges. Chilling Water will hit for big super effective damage. Rapidash is glassy, but thankfully I can hang on. Of the two charge stacks, Wild Charge does hit harder, so I go for the Wild Charge, even debuffed, that crushes the Florges, and Florges will survive the Incinerate on 1 HP to make a last second Chilling Water. Chilling Water is going to land, in comes Torterra. What do they have in the back? They're going to send out Galarian Moltres, and this is why we have Stone Edge. Torterra farm it up. Oh my goodness, wait the turn, catch onto Credilli, and suddenly we're in business. I'm gonna farm up with Torterra, watching for the catch. My opponent doesn't go for it. Oh, they go for it. No. Right as I fire off the Stone Edge, they catch onto the Primeape. Primeape gets farmed down, and the question is, have I done enough damage that Stone Edge will actually take the knockout? It's going to be close. Stone Edge from Torterra knocks Moltres out of the sky, and somehow, against all odds, we're able to fight back and get the win. Terrible lead in the next match, Rapidash into Shadow Mightyena. Rapidash loses all even shields against Mightyena. The only way we win is if they Poison Fang bait. So I call it, I barely survive, and just like that, I'm going to force a shield advantage. That is the best case scenario. Any other shielding scenario, Rapidash just loses. But if my opponent goes for the Poison Fang bait there, that is my only chance. I send in Credilli, and my hope is that 2-shield Torterra will win this game. Mightyena leads in the back frequently have Wigglytuff plus Steelix, and that is an endgame that a Torterra up energy and shields can win. In comes Steelix, I send in Torterra. It is what I was expecting. It's Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff always going to be shielding up the Frenzy Plant and going for the Icy Wind, looking to slow Torterra's roll, debuff it with the Icy Wind, and make it so they can survive longer and land more of these charms. These charms are really starting to add up. Icy Wind does get shielded. I make the Frenzy Plant, but now I'm worried. This Frenzy Plant will not KO the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is able to hang on. The Mud Slap after takes the knockout, and back in comes Steelix. Steelix farming up. I can't quite get to the Frenzy Plant. I'm forced to burn the shield. I know that I'm debuffed, so my plan here is simple. I'm going to bank the Frenzy Plant and send in Credilli. This sets me up for a guaranteed win condition. If my opponent fired off the Psychic Fangs instantly, then I can just Mud Slap them into Frenzy Plant range with Torterra, or if they just overfarm and try and farm down, then I make a second Grass Knot. So realistically, there's no path forward that resulted in my opponent winning the game once I bank the Frenzy Plant and reset that attack drop. We've got a great opponent in the next match leading into Zweilous. He's known for Spice, and we've got the battle of the spicy fire types leading Rapidash into Armarouge. Armarouge wins charge attack priority over Rapidash. What is the attack stat on Armarouge? Psyshock lands, Rapidash gets wrecked, but I leave with a parting gift of Drill Run. Drill Run is going to force the shield. In comes Credilli, and Credilli will immediately get hit with the Psyshock. Psyshock would do quite a lot of damage, so I'm going to put up the shield, and now he's going to send out Corviknight. This is an incredibly important bait out. My Torterra cannot afford to see that Pokemon whatsoever, and being able to apply debuffs before they get any damage is very helpful. ZZ's known for his Spice. I really hope this is not an Ironhead Corviknight, and thankfully he's running the standard moveset of Payback. Credilli will get to apply a second Rock Tomb debuff, and this is going to be getting the Corviknight very, very low. Corviknight should look to throw right before I make my next Rock Tomb. I try for a catch. Oh my goodness, the patience from Zweilous, and he snipes me with a Breloom. Breloom is an insane pick. This is 2900 ELO we're playing in, and he's running Armorage Breloom Core. You absolutely have to respect it. What a mad lad. Breloom gets destroyed by the Rock Tomb, but unfortunately, that Corviknight still has energy, and that's going to be what loses me this game. Armarouge barely cannot get the farm down before I make the last second Rock Tomb, but it still doesn't win me the game. Because as I bring in Torterra, I cannot get the Mud Slap down. Armarouge makes a Flame Charge. I'm pressured to burn the shield, and now Corviknight has the back-to-back air cutters. And unfortunately, Torterra, it's very glassy. I do not survive back-to-back air cutters. He even gets the boost, although to be fair, he didn't need the boost to win the game. The air cutter would have KO'd anyway. GG's to Zweilous. I got absolutely cooked. We get a very bad lead in the next match, leading Rapidash into Malamar. Again, the only shielding scenario that I can do okay in here is the zeros. So I'm just going to be no shielding. I barely hang on to a foul play and clicking Wild Charge. Wild Charge is going to be shredding the Malamar if they decide to no shield, which they do. Malamar gets rocked, in comes Credilli, and my opponent sends out Venusaur. Now, I have played this trainer quite a few times, and they frequently run the same team. And if it is the same team at this point, I already know that I've won this game, because it's probably going to be a Carbink in the back, and 2-shield Torterra is going to clean up. Frenzy Plant lands, I make it to the Rock Tomb. My opponent, if they have the Carbink in the back, they have to put up the shield. They can't let Credilli exist when Carbink is their final Mon. And here, we just get the absolute dagger. The catch back onto the Rapidash. I couldn't get that catch versus Zweilous, but we get it here. We farm down with Torterra. Show me the Carbink. They resign the match, and I assume it was that Carbink third. Rapidash into Shadow Charizard in the next match. This is a terrible lead. Shadow Charizard basically beats this entire team, so at this point, I'm kind of already resigning myself to the fact that I've probably lost this game. Rapidash no shield, calling the air cutter bait, and I get absolutely rocked. I'm going to fire off the wild charge, hoping my opponent doesn't know about the move, but they do. In comes Credilli. They have so much energy on this Charizard. This is enough for the Blast Burn. They full send the Blast Burn. I'm going to continue to farm up, watching for a catch. They go for it, and out comes a Chestnut. What is Chestnut doing here? All I know is Chestnut, it somehow isn't even a bad matchup for Credilli because Credilli can debuff it. Acid still hit for super effective. But man, this is not what I was hoping to see because I just don't have enough health on this Credilli. Unfortunately, my Incinerate Snipe attempt barely misses the knockout, but I just have no way of getting rid of the Charizard unless they bring in the Charizard, but the Charizard already has an Air Cutter bank. If they bring in anything but the Charizard, I just lose, and they bring out Furret. And at this point, I know this game is over. Rock Tomb is going to land. I can't make another Rock Tomb, but it wouldn't have made a difference. I have a Torterra, and that Charizard is just simply too healthy. I know shield. They're only ever going to go for the Air Cutter, but look at the Air Cutter, man. Torterra just getting absolutely deleted. Shadow Charizard, too much for this team to handle, and I will lose that game. Rapidash into Furret. This is a very bad lead. That's probably a common theme, is that Rapidash basically loses every neutral matchup, and it's part of the reason why this is a team for fun, not for climbing. I did go 10-5 with it, but I had to have very careful gameplay to do so. It definitely was not the Rapidash carrying. Wild Charge lands, big damage onto Furret, I save switch into Credilli, and out comes Blacephalon the Clown. Blacephalon immediately goes for the Mind Blown, and this is going to make my Acids absolutely shred them. Look at the damage, Credilli. I'm going to be able to double shield and fully farm down here. That's just how much damage these Acids are doing to a -4 defense Blacephalon. Blacephalon, the Incinerates have shredded me. I am very low, but I exit up a ton of energy, and I know the Furret is very close to a Swift, but they don't quite have it yet. My opponent sends in Gourgeist as their final Pokemon, and I believe this was a team that was featured by its Accent a few days ago. Rock Tomb is going to be shielded, but oh my goodness, look at Credilli go. Credilli applying debuff after debuff. Now I just get aggressive. I pivot into Torterra, snipe down with the Mud Slap, and Gourgeist, it just simply can't KO me from that health range. They needed the Incinerate to land before the Shadow Ball could have knocked out, but I make the Frenzy Plant, KO the Gourgeist, and take the win. We get a pretty okay lead in the next match. Rapidash into Shadow Celio. My opponent save switches into Shadow Kanto Marowak, and we are off to an unbelievably good start. Marowak is completely walled here. There's really nothing that it can do, and I can just look to overfarm in this matchup and try and exit with a Frenzy Plant loaded. This Frenzy Plant is going to guaranteed get a shield from the Celio and put me in a really good spot in this game. I can't quite get the farm down. Torterra is very, very glassy. It's one of the reasons why I don't normally run it, but I exit with the Frenzy. My opponent sends in Steelix, and they snipe down with the Celio. Oh my goodness. And that may have just lost me this game. They didn't bring in the Celio, so I tried to overfarm and get as much Mud Slap damage as possible, but then they snipe me with the Celio. I lose that Frenzy Plant, and that is damage that I needed to land. Celio puts up the shield, but at this point, the damage is already done. I make the Rock Tomb on the CMP tie. I know that I do not have 1 HP, so I will survive the 1 HP of damage through the shield, but the Steelix has 2 Thunderfangs of energy, and that means they're going to outpace the Rapidash and win the game. In comes Rapidash. Rapidash is so glassy that I have to shield here. If I don't shield here, I'm going to get farmed down. So I put up the shield. I have to build up to the back-to-back drill runs, but I know my opponent is only 2 Thunderfangs away. They're 4 turns off the move. I'm 5 turns off mine, and I lose this game. Oh, what a brilliant play from my opponent. Sniping down the Frenzy Plant won them that game because if Frenzy Plant landed on the Steelix, that game is just a win. Hopping into the final match, and my nemesis has returned. Rapidash leading into Charizard, and unfortunately, Rapidash cannot catch a break, as Charizard is just so bad for this entire team. I called a bait. They bait with the Air Cutter. I'm going for the Wild Charge, same game plan as before, and then send in Credilli. Wild Charge picks up the one-hit knockout. My opponent did not respect the Legacy move, and they send out Clodsire, and I immediately pivot into Credilli. This is not the greatest play ever. I probably should have just stayed in and let myself get farmed down and gone for the drill run, but it ends up working out as my opponent did not want to stay in while debuffed, and they end up sending a Meowscarada into my Credilli. I definitely feel like with running Rapidash, a lot of these games have kind of been a comedy of errors on my part. Definitely not the greatest plays ever. Like, I should have just stayed with the Rapidash and fired off the drill run at the Clodsire, and then I would have had a pretty straightforward game, where I could have put the Torterra on the Clodsire, the Cordelia on the Meowscarada, but getting aggressive and switching almost cost me this game, but my opponent ended up giving back switch advantage, and at this point, there's just no path forward for my opponent. They know the game is over, as it's a Mud Slapper onto the Clodsire. They go for an Earthquake, and they are not top lefting. Okay, well, I'm going to fire off the Frenzy Plant. I assume they're just going to let this go, and they're staying in for the research maybe, but no, they are playing it out to the bitter end, and unfortunately, it's time. I have to do it to them. I'm going to be farming up to the Stone Edge, because I believe I've done enough Mud Slap damage that Stone Edge will KO. Stone Edge BM KOs the Clodsire, and that's a good game. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I do want to give full team credit to Ta. Ta is a Japanese streamer, and I ended up seeing them running Rapidash, just kind of a fun thematic thing for the Chinese New Year, since it is the year of the Fire Horse, and they ended up going 8-2 with it and breaking into the 2900s. So I figured it would be some fun stream content, because I am currently doing something I'm calling Henryary, where I'm streaming every single day live on Twitch and YouTube and streaming my Go Battle League sets. So I figured it'd be a fun way to break in the new year, January 1st, and I was kind of expecting to get bodied, basically. Just lose a bunch of ELO, but make my Q times better. So the fact that I ended up going 10-5 was a welcome surprise, but definitely a surprise. As I mentioned at the start, this is not a team that I'd recommend for climbing. I think if you're trying to run a team with a similar structure, I think the Ampharos, Credilli, and Gourgeist line is a stronger version of this team. But hey, for a team that was kind of born out of just wanting to run something fun, I was very pleasantly surprised by the fact that it somehow managed to keep on winning. I don't think this team had any business winning as much as it did. I think in a lot of circumstances, I ended up getting lucky with people not necessarily being familiar with maybe the pacing on Rapidash or the move set, and I was able to kind of force a lot of shield advantages from there, and in some cases, wild charge a Charizard through 2 shields. So I definitely don't think the success of the team is repeatable, and that's part of why I don't recommend it as a team for climbing, but hey, this is an interlude season. Technically, ELO is hidden. But if you're looking for some fun Pokemon themed around the new year, between Kanto Rapidash for the year of the Fire Horse, or obviously Blacephalon with Mind Blown, because Mind Blown quite literally has an enormous ball that explodes into confetti every time that move is thrown, I feel like fun themed teams like that are probably where these Mons shine the most, whereas they're definitely not Mons for climbing. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.